Okay, hello Facebook land. I'm delighted to be here chatting with Dan. Dan, do you want to join back in? Now I've got rid of that intro screen. Um, there we go.
Hi,
So,
Neil.
hi Dan, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you.
Excellent.
Excited to be involved in this. It looks great.
Good, excellent. So I've known Dan for a number of years, I would say, and yeah, delighted to have Dan. So Dan is a incredible sax player, composer, band leader. You run the jazz course at Southampton Uni. That's correct?
Well, my official title is Head of Jazz, Pop, and Musical Theatre Performance. So,
Nice.
so basically everything apart from lots of other things.
A lot of other things. Nice. And you have written copious amounts of music. You've performed in countless gigs. You've done huge amounts of recording, and you're bringing your vast wealth of skills and experience to a workshop for us on Tuesday, which is kind of going to be hosted by our jazz collective group, but is open to anyone. All about like improvising, basically how to kind of the basics, how to get into improvising. What is improvising to you, Dan? Like what in its simplest form, what is it?
So I'm the reason I love improvising. The reason I want everybody to do it is because you can really express yourself freely. And whilst there's obviously kind of some rules and things associated with certain types, it gives you a chance to really almost compose on the spot, but to be able to add your ideas, I think is improvising for me. So it's to embellish using your own ideas, and the better you get at it, the more freedom you have. So it's always cool. And one of the things I always say to all improvisers is there's no wrong notes. You can wherever you start from, it's about really enjoying yourself and making the step that you don't feel scared. So
So
we're
people
trying to
often
make.
say that, like there's no wrong notes, but what does that actually mean?
So it
Because
so it means
people say
this.
that, but
Well, I know it, and actually, us jazzers have a terrible lexicon in terms of things. We all say, "Yeah, you should just feel it," or
right.
"It's cool," or things like this. And actually, I'm one of those people who doesn't, I'll say that a lot probably, but I don't like it
Okay.
very much.
Okay.
And in terms of no wrong notes, I can justify that musically in the sense that actually any note that you play with purpose and with accuracy, especially rhythmic accuracy, will make sense
Mm,
melodically. So we will be looking at the ways in which you can actually make sense out of nonsense music.
right.
So so that's part of improvising, and there's quite an obsession with harmony in improvising, which is important. Don't get me wrong, and I'm a harmony nerd, so
Right.
we can go into that. But we'd also the one thing I'd also say to people is the intention and the way in which it locks in with whatever feel you're playing in, because essentially jazz is an oral music. It comes from here, and it comes essentially from a history of dancing music. So we really need to express that in whether it be swing, contemporary, funk, and that means expressing a nice feel. So confidence and getting the feel right. We'll be doing lots
And
of that.
that sounds great. So when you're working with people who like can play their instruments, but certainly as a classically trained player, I went through this at some point in my former years, when you feel like you've got a handle on some of the notes, but then somebody else says to you, okay, well, just play a few of these notes, and
Yeah,
you've been tied to what's written down, or you've been tied to your scales, or you've been tied to the studies that you've done, or
sure.
you've been tied to the tunes, or if somebody else has played it, then you can copy it, but to try and kind of get it from
Sure.
inside. What are like the main barriers that you think? What do you see when you work? Because you work with loads of people to try and get
Sure,
over
sure.
this kind of improv hump. What do you
I
say to
mean,
them?
that's a really good question, a fascinating topic. We could probably do like an entire lecture series on that, by the way. But
Right.
I mean that you're touching on something which I feel very passionately about, which is it's basically realizing your own ideas without feeling that you have to service other people's ideas as well. Now, I will qualify this. Within every type of music, there is a language that you have to have an understanding of, and certainly I can put some pointers towards jazz language and jazz gestures, which are as harmonic as they are rhythmic. However, I mean, I'll give you an example here. I do. one of the things I've had the joy of doing is teaching really young kids jazz improvising, and they have no boundaries, no limits at all. So, and then you get to the point a bit later on within the music world where you have people telling you there are boundaries. Or you feel like you self-impose them, and you get scared about maybe expressing yourself because you're not quite sure if it's the right thing to do, and that for me is a barrier. And actually, if you consider some of the most famous jazz musicians ever, what they were doing was going against the flow,
Mm.
trying stuff out that if they'd listened to the person next to them going, no man, no, you can't play that, that's not cool. I mean, there are people like Thelonious Monk and Ornette Coleman, and to a certain extent, Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie when they did bebop, and then John Coltrane, especially as he went from the kind of bebop into Love Supreme into his mad kind of
Yeah.
thing. And nowadays, people like Snarky Puppy, who are using influences from other places, Jacob Collier,
Yeah.
these guys are doing stuff that break rules, which is
Yeah.
partly why it's so fun. So
Yeah.
I want to
Well, I guess
encourage
you've
people
got to
to
kind
have
of,
their own identity, is the thing.
yeah, and you've got to understand a bit of the rules in order to break them
Sure.
kind of and like I guess in like across arts, like it's similar to like any other art form. Like if you're a big fan of manga, for instance,
Yeah.
you'll definitely have a Netflix account, but you'll really appreciate when somebody puts a spin on it because you
Yeah.
understand the world, and
Sure.
we all kind of consume so much TV, don't we, that we
Sure.
understand when somebody is like playing with the rules and stuff. Yeah, and it's the same in jazz, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just to come back to you, so what are you like? What playing are you doing at the moment? Like, how are you coping with the isolation? Because we had a chat earlier.
Yeah,
You
sure.
like playing together is really really tough. Even with the best technology in the world, it's still not quite there. So how are you coping? What are you doing? How are you keeping your
Well, I'm
going?
kind of lucky in a sense because I live with a family. So first of all, I do have people who two young children, so they're not always the most intellectual of chats, but at least I can watch them playing Animal Crossing or something. So
Yeah,
so
and
I
you know
have
everything
I have
about
an
Frozen.
out.
Yeah.
But in terms of music making, it's been tough. I think uh, I'm a positive person, so I'm hoping that the vaccines and the ideas like that will change things. But
Mm,
normally in a year, I'll do 100, 200 gigs. I had 60 odd gigs in the diary from March onwards, which all went. I've done 2 gigs since March, which is
mm,
just shockingly unusual.
mm,
And there's lots of things I miss about it. Obviously, I miss playing music. I miss seeing people. I miss hanging out with the band. I love
mm,
playing with my bandmates because they're all really nice people. I
mm,
like listening to them play. I haven't listened really to live music properly for now 10 months. Is that right? Gosh,
yeah.
saying it out loud makes it even worse, right?
Mm,
But what I have been trying to do is do a lot of online projects. I work a bit as a record producer, so it's slightly easy for me um, because I have the technology available and I do a lot of production stuff. But you can get involved with things. I've been asked to do several different projects. There was a wonderful project I did over the summer with a good friend of mine called Colin Wilshire, who did a version of Stevie Wonder's "Don't You Worry About a Thing" when he
mm.
was raising money for
Was that massive one with like
yeah, the
500
massive
people
one.
involved? Yeah, yeah, I
And that
saw
was
that.
great fun because it was
Yeah.
basically he sent us a backing track. We all played along to it, and then he did all the hard work. But I would, collaboration's a big thing at the moment.
Mm,
Writing, I've done tons of writing, and writing's like practicing. So the more you write, the better you get because you can get rid of all the rubbish.
hmm
And I have tried to practice. Motivation's not as much as it was. I will
mm,
freely admit, but
mm,
but yeah, I mean, I suppose the way I'm getting through this is that I'm thinking what everyone who does any job has been affected by it. Obviously, musicians have been
mm.
affected worse in most cases, but I'm lucky enough to be a musician when I get out of this as well. So the
Yeah,
last thing I want to do is kind of, you know, cut off my nose to spite my face, right?
yeah,
So I'm not going to get cross about it and say I'm thinking positively. I'm thinking, well, how do I set myself up for when this finishes?
yeah.
Because actually, I'm guessing, I'm hopeful that once all this finishes, people are dying to hear live music again, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean,
I was
I
thinking,
certainly am, right?
yeah, I was
Can't
thinking
wait to go
about
to a
that.
gig.
I was thinking about that today. Like all of our all of our students who, you know, many of whom are like yours at Southampton Uni,
Yeah, yeah,
hugely frustrated, like you're
yeah,
19, 20, 21,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you've
yeah,
got this vision of what it should be.
yeah,
But when we are out of this, they're going to be like 23, 24,
yeah.
and
They're
the
gonna love it.
energy, like, and you know, you and me, we're kind of nearly over the hill, aren't we? I mean, still we can go out and have a good time, but to
Yeah.
have the energy of being in my early 20s at, you know, during, it could be another roaring 20s, couldn't it?
Oh, I
You know,
agree, and I
you
think
know,
there'll be loads of opportunities, and but
yeah,
more importantly, like music is nothing if it isn't about people
people,
expressing their ideas, right? And
yeah,
I want to hear people's ideas. I think
yeah,
everyone, right, whoever they are, playing whatever they're doing,
mm,
and we've been, you know, there's been lots of great music made over lockdown, but nothing beats going to a gig, or nothing
no,
beats being involved with other people. I can't wait to do a
no,
rehearsal. Yeah. So there's going to be loads of people out there to do stuff, and I'm up for doing anything at the moment because I just
yeah,
want some great ideas to get involved in. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. I'm with you there. I'm with you there. I cannot wait to kind of get back. We'll get through it,
yeah,
and then, you know, the music will see us through, and then we'll be
and it
back
will
to it.
still be there on the other side. We
It
have
will
to.
be.
But the
Yeah,
one thing I would say, I know I have a, you know, my hobby horse or high horse or soapbox or whatever you want,
okay,
is that we need to continue to support the local music scenes wherever you
yeah,
are. So
yeah,
one of the things I'm big on, and please, when all this finishes, go to a local venue, go and support your
yeah,
local venues because they are in so much trouble at the moment. You know, we as musicians can stay at home and still make music, and some of us can write music and make money from it. If you promote or put on music, it's frightening at the moment. So the first thing I will be doing when I leave lockdown is not putting on my own gig, but I'm going to go and watch someone else's. I'm going to pay money at a door and go and watch someone else's. That'll
yeah.
be what I
Nice.
do. Yeah,
Absolutely. Let's all do that. Let's all do
yeah.
that.
Well, we'll watch you do a gig somewhere nice, Dan. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
have so much you.
Yeah. Do something. Yeah. A street corner somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Look, Dan, it's been lovely chatting to you. We'll
Absolutely.
see you on Tuesday for this, your workshop at 6
Can't
p.m.
wait. Can I encourage
And
everyone to bring an instrument? That would be fun. Bring your instruments
nice.
along.
Okay. Yeah. And, you know, I've said to people that they can like come and, some people like to like come and lurk, don't they? You know, with their video off,
Lurking's
or
good.
kind of coming in
Yeah.
or out, or put you
It's-
on mute and get your instrument out or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
just,
And do come with questions as well. I mean, I do a lot of big band stuff as well. So if you have any questions about that kind of thing as well, we know we'll use the improvising as a shell, but we can talk about jazz stuff in general, and also demystifying it a little bit because it seems to be something that's sometimes a little bit terrifying for a few people. And
sure.
there's jazz in everything. There's
Yeah.
jazz in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, man.
Yeah, cool. All right. Have a good evening. Great to chat
You
with you.
too. Lovely to
And
see you.
all right. Cheers, then. All
Bye.
right. Bye.